Happy March, everybody. I have not filmed for a while, and so I've been itching to film and chat with you guys. So today I want to share with you everything I want to read in March. I hope that you're going to have a wonderful reading month. Fingers crossed, I think it's going to be a good one for me. My aim is to read a ton of Irish books, but we'll get there. I first wanted to just mention a little something. Zinf sent me these glasses. They gifted me a pair of these. They're called Ein, and I chose baby pink, which is very like out of my comfort zone. I'm usually like a tortoiseshell or a black kind of girl when it comes to glasses, but I saw these and I was like, they're pink, but they're also quite neutral. So I quite like them. I did decide to, like, on my own, upgrade a few things. Your girl went to the eye doctor recently and learned that my eyes are quite old. And I now need, they're like bifocals, or I can't remember what they're called, but I added that to the lens because I'm having a hard time seeing things close up. I thought I would be further along in my life when that started to happen, but here we are, 41, and this is what happens. So I added that, and I added some like super anti-scratch stuff. But in any case, it was definitely partially gifted at the very least by Zinf, which was very, very generous of them. They also gave me a code for you guys. So you guys can get 30% off your entire order at Zinf if you use the code April6. So it's an uppercase A and an uppercase L6. I'll put it on the screen here for you so you don't have to think too much about it. It'll also be in the description box below. In any case, let us get to the books that I am reading with my new glasses. So as I mentioned before, I am trying to read a bunch of Irish books in March. That said, I do have some books that I'm kind of carrying over from February, and I want to talk about those books here with you guys. One book I actually just finished, I'm not going to tell you what I thought of it, is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This is about a mother whose child goes missing from his own crib when he's about a year old. We meet her a year after he has gone missing, and she can no longer sleep, like truly cannot. It could kill her. It's that bad. And she's trying to find her son and doing absolutely everything she possibly can to find him. So I did finish that, but I wanted to mention that that was on my TBR for March. I am currently reading Dark Roads by Chevy Stevens. It's my first Chevy Stevens, and she's a Canadian author, and this is about a portion of highway out in BC that is known for having women gone missing. A lot of Indigenous women go missing out there. A lot of Indigenous women go missing all over Canada. It is a major problem that exists in Canada, and one that absolutely should be top priority in my country. So I am very much eager to dive into this book. I've just started it, and I'm just so eager to learn a little bit more through fiction. Sometimes it's nice to learn about history or current affairs through fiction. So I'm reading that right now. It is about a young woman whose father dies suddenly, and she is very much suddenly orphaned, and she ends up living with her aunt and uncle. And her uncle is, I think, a part of the RCMP, or he's a cop somehow, and he's also quite creepy. And in the midst of all of this, there are women going missing in her town. So I'm reading that. I am also reading What We Talk About When We Talk About God by Rob Bell. I don't tend to share a lot of like spiritual things on here. I'm not a major spiritual person, but one of my strange goals for 2023 is to learn a little bit more about death and the afterlife and God, and also the history of Christianity in terms of like what was going on at the time that the Bible was written and how those passages relate to an actual historical period of time, instead of just applying it to now. Anyway, very interesting, and Rob Bell does a lot of that. I really enjoy him as a person. And so I am reading that at the moment. I'm also reading a super scary book called I Remember You. This is another one I started in February because I was reading all sorts of like snowy books in February. It's about a group of people who decide to go to this island where it's pretty much an abandoned tiny little town, and they're there to like spruce up one of the houses, and there might be, and absolutely is, a ghost there. It is incredibly creepy. I'm enjoying it. So those are all of the books that I'm currently reading. That's a lot of books. I should really dwindle that down. I'm working my way through them. Now, on to all of the Irish books I want to read in March. The first book is the start of a series. It's The Cold, Cold Ground by Adrian McKinty. This is the Detective Sean Duffy series. It was a very popular series. I think it is finished now. And it takes place in the 80s in Northern Ireland, where a serial killer is, ravaging this area. And the serial killer is particularly homophobic, and Sean Duffy is on the case. And I've not heard a ton about this series, but last year I loved the Tana French series so much that I thought, well, maybe it'll be good. And so I'm on hold for that for audio from the library. So hopefully that will come really soon, because I'd love to get my hands into a new series. I was going to start with Kate Atkinson for this year, and I probably will still read the Jackson Brodie series this year, but I thought this one might be good, and I love anything Irish, basically. This next book I haven't even hauled yet. That will be upcoming, but this is All the Broken Places by John Boyne. This is a sequel to The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It follows Gretel. I'm not going to go into details that would anyway spoil The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which is a tiny little novella. You could read it in one sitting. Highly recommend. This continues that story with Gretel, who was one of the characters in The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. She is now, I think, in her 90s, and she's lived in London for an incredibly long time now, decades and decades, and she has this dark past living in Germany. Her father was a Nazi like senior officer, and we meet her in her 90s living a quite quiet life. She never talks about her past and her history and her link to the Nazi party. And then a new family moves into the apartment below her, and she becomes very close and drawn to this little boy named Henry. I think a lot of memories start to unfold when they move in. I'm so eager to read this. Again, I'll haul this very soon, but I want to read it in March, pronto. I would also really love to read another Graham Norton book. The only one that I haven't read yet is Holding, and so that is the one that I would like to read. I have it on my Kobo. This book is a bit of a mystery. Many of his books have that mysterious element, and it is essentially about a small Irish village, quite remote, and remains are found on an old farm. And this little town, this little village have to figure out what to do when they find these remains. So 2 more books to go. This next one is Skin Deep by Liz Nugent. I love Liz Nugent, and I have not read her in quite a while. She writes deeply disturbing and dark characters, usually characters you will not like, but they're so fascinating that you need to find out what they're going to do next. And this book follows a woman named Delia O'Flaherty. She is wild and dangerous. And her father really put her on a pedestal as a child. And since then, he has, I believe, passed away. She's alone in the world, and she uses her beauty to manipulate people. And in this book, you find out about her tragic past, and also when an old face, an old character, lands on her doorstep and kind of unravels her whole life. So that is Skin Deep. And last but not least is Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard, another author I haven't read in a couple of years now. This is her new book, and this is about a horror movie being shot in the woods, I believe. The horror movie is called Final Draft, and we follow a woman named Adele who has suddenly had to step in as the lead female role. The lead actress had to leave very suddenly. I don't remember what happened to her exactly. She had to bail, and so Adele is coming in, and she's all excited because this is going to be great for her career. However, the horror movie script starts seething and like seeping its way into reality, and it becomes very clear that it's very dangerous to be shooting this film, and that the shooting of the film might become a horror story in reality. It sounds like so much fun. So so those are all of the books that I am currently reading and want to read in March. Let me know in the comments below, what are you reading in March? Are you going to be taking part in like the Irish readathon? There's also middle grade March going on. I'd love to know. I will talk to you very soon. Bye guys.